All right, let's get into it. Today, we're tackling one of the most difficult, most complex minds in all of literature. We're going to try and unlock the tortured psychology of Dostoyevsky's underground man, and we're going to do it using a really powerful key from modern science. So let's start with a quote from the man himself. He says, "I swear that to be too conscious is an illness." Think about that. This is a guy so trapped inside his own head, so tormented by his own thoughts, that he literally sees self-awareness as a disease. And that right there, that really sets the stage for the psychological trap we are about to explore. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get to know this puzzling character. Then, we'll look at the science of adult attachment. After that, we'll use that science to diagnose the underground man, see it all play out in a crucial scene, and finally, talk about why this guy from the 1800s still matters so much today. All right, first up, literature's most puzzling mind. So let's just dive right in. Who is this guy? Who is the underground man from Dostoyevsky's famous novella, Notes from Underground? Well, on the surface, he's this super intelligent, retired civil servant. He's got a small inheritance, and he's just retreated. He's holed himself up in what he calls his underground in St. Petersburg. But really, his whole life has become this testament to doing nothing, fueled by pure spite and an isolation that he built for himself, brick by painful brick. Yeah, his whole being is just a bundle of contradictions. It's like a civil war is happening inside his head 24/7. He desperately wants to connect with people, but the second he gets a chance, he just blows it up. He's so self-aware, it's painful. He sees all his flaws, but he can't do a single thing to change. He talks about wanting the sublime and beautiful, but he chooses to live in this self-made squalor. And it's this constant churning mess of contradictions that makes him so, so compelling. And this is the big question, isn't it? Why? Why would someone who understands their own unhappiness so perfectly seem hell-bent on making it worse? I mean, being miserable is one thing, but actively building a prison of misery and then locking yourself inside? That's something else entirely. To figure that out, we need to bring in a tool from modern psychology. Okay, next section, the science of adult attachment. This is our secret weapon, really. We're talking about adult attachment theory. Now, this is a field that was pioneered by researchers like John Bowlby, and it was made super accessible in the book Attached. And trust me, it gives us this incredible new lens for understanding not just our own relationships, but the underground man's entire twisted worldview. So what is it? The core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. Basically, our brains are hardwired from an evolutionary standpoint to connect with people. We need to form strong bonds to feel safe and secure. It's a survival instinct, like hunger or thirst. And this internal mechanism, this attachment system, creates these distinct patterns or styles that pretty much dictate how we behave in our most important relationships. And these patterns generally fall into three big buckets. First, you've got secure people. These folks find it pretty easy to get close to others. They're comfortable with intimacy. Then there's the anxious style. These individuals crave a ton of closeness, but they're always worried their partner doesn't feel the same way, making them super sensitive to any hint of rejection. And finally, you have the avoidant style. For them, intimacy feels suffocating, like a threat to their independence, so they're always trying to create distance. And this brings us to something that sounds totally backwards, but is absolutely true: the dependency paradox. You see, we tend to think that independence means not needing anyone. But what the research shows is that true independence, the freedom to be daring and explore the world, actually comes from having someone you can securely depend on. It's like having a secure home base. You can go out and be a rock star because you know you have a safe place to return to. Right. So now that we have this framework, let's diagnose our patient. What is the underground man's attachment style? And here's the thing. He doesn't just fit into one neat little box. No, he is the walking, talking embodiment of the most volatile, most painful combination there is. He's caught in what's known as the anxious avoidant trap. It's this devastating internal conflict between desperately needing closeness and being absolutely terrified of it at the exact same time. And you can see this battle raging within him constantly. I mean, look at his traits. The anxious part of him gets totally preoccupied with relationships, like when he obsesses for years over some random officer who slighted him. But then the avoidant part kicks in. He pushes people away, he devalues them to create distance. He literally says that to him, loving meant tyrannizing someone and showing moral superiority. What a classic avoidant move to maintain control and keep intimacy at bay. And this quote, wow, it just nails the paralysis that this inner conflict causes. He wants anything, love, hate, it doesn't matter, just so he doesn't have to sit with his hands folded. But his brain immediately short circuits. He overthinks it, despises himself for even feeling it, and the result? Poof, a soap bubble and inertia. Nothing. He's stuck. Okay, now for the most powerful, most heartbreaking piece of evidence for this diagnosis. Let's look at his encounter with a young prostitute named Liza. This is a perfect portrait of the trap in action. This is where we see it all just snap shut. So, the scene is this. After a totally humiliating night out, he ends up with Liza. And at first, his anxious side is in complete control. He sees this opportunity for a deep, meaningful connection, and he just launches into this passionate speech, painting this picture of a beautiful life she could have, with him as her savior, of course. He craves the connection, so he gives Liza his address. He invites her in. And then, she actually shows up. She comes to his grimy apartment, and she offers him real, genuine compassion. And it's too much. Her kindness terrifies him, so his avoidant side just hijacks the whole situation. He pushes her away by verbally abusing her, humiliating her, all because he's terrified of being truly seen. And the final nail in the coffin. He forces money on her, turning this moment of real human connection into a cheap transaction, ensuring she will never, ever come back. And he tells us why with this just chillin' honesty. I had been humiliated, so I wanted to humiliate. Her affection didn't feel good. It felt threatening. It made him feel vulnerable. So to get back that feeling of power and control, he had to destroy it. It was never about Liza. It was about his own profound inability to handle real intimacy. And that right there is the anxious avoidant trap in action. It's the push for closeness, immediately followed by the pull of withdrawal and total destruction. He gets what his avoidant brain screams for, to be left alone. But the second she's gone, his anxious side is drowning in regret and misery. It's a cycle he can never, ever escape. Okay, so why are we talking about this guy? What can we possibly take away from a character created in the 1800s? Why does he still matter? Because here's the thing. This isn't just about some fictional dude. His story is an extreme example, sure, but it's also a map. It shows us how these deep, often unconscious attachment needs can make us self-sabotage. It highlights that universal, painful paradox, how you can desperately want love and be completely terrified of it at the same time. He's really a cautionary tale. He shows us what the endgame of this kind of internal conflict looks like when it's left to run wild. It's a life defined by misery, by isolation, where every chance for real human connection gets thrown away for a cheap, fake feeling of being in control. And in the end, Dostoyevsky flips the script on us entirely. The underground man challenges us, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, he's more alive than the rest of us because at least he's aware of the struggle. Which leaves us with a pretty uncomfortable question to chew on, doesn't it? How much of the underground man, his conflicts, his fears, his own private underground, actually lives inside of you?